Hello everyone, today I'll be talking you through how to pass your MRCS Part A exam and the revision strategy that we recommend. So just to give you a general idea, MRCS Part A exam is a written exam and it is a part of two exams for the MRCS assessment, part 2 being the OSCE and part 1 being the paper. You can say it's a written examination. So it's a computer-based exam with single best answer questions, and it is composed of two papers taken on the same day. Paper 1 is focusing on applied basic sciences, which includes anatomy, physiology, and pathology predominantly, but it does contain other topics. And it is composed of 180 questions taken over 180 minutes. So a minute for every question. And paper 2 is the surgery paper or principles of surgery in general. And it tends to be the more difficult paper, and it's the second paper that you will take with some break between the two papers. This paper is focusing on many things, including trauma, orthopedic, breast, vascular, urology, abdominal surgery, etc. So there are many surgical subspecialties that are tested, with the greatest number of questions tend to be given for trauma and for orthopedic surgery, including the fractures and dislocations, and for abdominal surgery. So this is the general idea. This exam is held about 3 times every year, worldwide test centers. So you've got an exam usually on January and another one on April or May. Sometimes they do it on May too, either April or May, and another one in September. So in order to break down the revision strategy and how to use the ISB source, let's just jump right into the website. So here we are in the isb.thinkific website, and on this side you've got your different chapters: anatomy, physiology, general principles of pathology, and etc. And these are the chapters that you're expected to study, all of this. And in every chapter there are a series of lectures, and you can see the layout here in the website. It's saying anatomy, physiology, so it is going through the basic sciences first, but that's not the way that we study. So for instance, I will give you an example of how we study. So let's say you finished upper limb anatomy lectures, you went through these lectures, and after that, in the study plan, you will see that after upper limb anatomy, you are expected to go to orthopedic surgery and study the orthopedic conditions related with that. Problems in the shoulder region, brachial plexus problems, fractures or dislocations or other conditions concerning the humerus and elbow, tumors affecting the bone, infectious conditions of the bones and joints, etc. and so on. So as you can see, you are actually studying paper 1 and also paper 2 in the same time. And you are integrating your basic knowledge, the fundamentals, with the applied clinical science, as you can say. And we see that this way of studying impacts the student performance greatly and improves it tremendously. So statistically, our students perform better when they use this kind of plan. And this applies with every single chapter, right? All of this. So for instance, after you've studied anatomy of the thorax, let's say here in the anatomy, you went through anatomy of the thorax. So you can see here, these 3 lectures are on the thorax. And then after you finish that, you are going to go to cardiothoracic surgery and study it here from the lectures, and so on. And you will be provided with a study plan basically, and you will follow that. And after you finish the entire chapter, basic science as well as whatever, then you can go to the recall question bank, right? This recall question bank, you don't have to look outside basically for other recalls, because this is the biggest compilation of recall question bank in the world basically. It contains well over 3,000 recall questions without repetition, meaning full scenarios. So in the beginning, when we were teaching our students, we were giving them the exam by exam or date by date. Like, for example, we go through January exams, and then we go through September exams, and etc. But we think that this way is not the correct way, or not the ideal way at least, because if you go date by date, a lot of questions will be repeated, a lot of time will be wasted, and additionally, you do not organize your studying from the lectures and the textbook with actually testing yourself actively, topic-wise. So if you study upper limb anatomy from the lectures and then revise that again, and then go to test yourself with the questions from the question bank, suppose here are upper limb anatomy questions, with all of the recall questions that have come up about this topic, you will be very oriented about the exam and retain the information better. So we did a study on our students before and after implementing this change, and we found that their performance massively improved in every single category. So this is the best way. If you come with us, just trust our plan, because that had worked. We've actually implemented that and had worked with previous students very well. It worked, not just worked, it worked tremendously. Our students are scoring very high scores in the most difficult exams, and almost all of them passes. For the past 2 exams, for example, the overall pass rates for the past 2 exams from our students was 93%. So you can guess how this is very effective. So suppose you went to the question bank and now you're actively testing yourself, testing your knowledge, putting your knowledge to the actual tests. So it's not just a boring PDF that you have to scroll through and actually not get a feedback. So you will finish every single question there and study also the explanation below it, because not every time you are expected to see some repeated questions on the exam, yes, but a lot of times there's a lot of new questions. So in order to cover the topic from every angle, you also have to study the explanation below it, right? And also you can see the diagrams to help you understand and retain the idea better. And this goes with every chapter. Suppose let's pick another chapter, like let's say you have finished trauma and now you want to study trauma with us. You will go to the trauma chapter and read the questions, provide an answer, and go through all of these questions. Is that right? And after that, when you finish an entire chapter based on the recall question bank, you will get a grade about your performance on that chapter. And then you can contact the course providers or ask them for an analysis of their performance at any given time. So suppose you finished all of the anatomy once, okay? So you finished all of the anatomy from the lectures as well as the recall question bank only once. So we can give you a detailed feedback using powerful AI tools about which specific problem that you have. Suppose you have a problem with understanding the course of the ulnar nerve, or a problem with the dermatomes and myotomes of the upper limb. So we can highlight that problem based on your performance so that you can be more focused and modify your study plan, targeting the weak areas. And again, this is the only platform worldwide that teaches MRCS curriculum that have this feature, which is AI analysis. And that goes with every chapter, definitely. And then over time, when you take it a second time, you can again ask for the course providers to give you an analysis of that. And then we can provide you the analysis second time so you can see your improvement over time. Then after you have finished all of this, we recommend that this question bank, this is very important. This recall question bank is extremely important. In our last exam, 90%, can you imagine that? 90% from paper 1 came word for word from these questions. And the other 10%, many of our students said that it was either mentioned in the lecture or it was in the explanations. Because they often ask about the topic, yes, they ask about the topic, but even if they change the question, they still ask about the same topic but another angle or another perspective, you can say. So if you study the explanation, you are ensuring that you've covered you can say the topic from every angle. And this way, you have your chances of missing questions are much less likely. Is that right? So after this, after you finished the entire recall question bank, multiple times leading up to your exam, in the end, near your exam, we recommend taking a look at this category, ISP Golden Collection. This collection is life-saving in the exam. It contains ECG series that you are likely to encounter in your exam, like heart block, for example, or like any other abnormality, PE, P pulmonal, P mitral, all of these things grouped in one place. The high-yield anatomy slides are provided in their own. So this is like the must-know anatomy, the anatomy that you must know for the exam. And you can scroll through these. And definitely, this is another important collection, which is called Common is Common. A lot of exam questions come about this collection. For instance, the most common cause of hyponatremia in surgical patients is excessive hypotonic intravenous fluid administration, and so on. And you also need to study all of the lymphatic drainage of the body in one place. I think this is better when you finish all of the anatomy from the lectures. You come here to this category and study it, and it kind of organizes your thought. It kind of organizes everything in one place. For instance, lymphatic drainage from the head and neck area, lymphatic drainage from the thorax, lymphatic drainage from the abdomen. So for example, in the last January 2025 exam, there was a new question about the lymphatic drainage of the abdominal wall. It has never been present in previous exams. Our students were able to answer this because they have studied this collection. So they always have an edge if you finish these things. Also, dermatomes and myotomes, you get them in one place. And these are the most forgettable part. You tend to forget that very easily because these are all just numbers and things. So if you take them in one place, again, that's a huge advantage. Also, the vertebral levels is something else that you can forget. So all of the abdominal levels, all of the thoracic levels is also essential for the exam. You get Fauziya sheet. I think it's okay. There's not a lot of questions come about it, but it's still useful to go through it. Also, the lab values that are important, analytes in arterial blood, hormones, analytes in plasma, in the CSF, you get that also in one place. In addition to that, before our exam, we are going to do live Q&A sessions, solving entire exams, like not by topic, but all exams in the form of mock. So random questions, random topics, and we will discuss every topic as it comes. So the benefit of the Q&A sessions is that not only you get to discuss with the course providers directly different topics and explore new areas, but also you will get about 20 mock exams timed. So it is not like the question bank here. It is actually with a timer, 1 minute for every question, just like in the real exam. And that is very, very important, very essential. Don't let your real exam be your first exam. You have to do mock tests. So these mock exams will put you to the tests, simulate the exam with real exam questions, and not only that, but also with real percentage for each topic in the exam. So it's divided by the same percentages in the exam. So more questions for anatomy, for example, less questions for statistics, etc. And that will be your final moment of revision, you can say. So, in order to summarize our revision strategy, we will keep things simple and to the point. We will, number one, integrate basic science studies with clinical science studies, and then test ourselves actively using the recall question bank to reinforce our knowledge, deepen it in certain topics, and that in itself is revision. When you solve the question bank itself is considered revision. And after that, we will do the recall question bank again, revise again, and then in the end, we will jump to the collections. And that's a last minute, you can say, thing that you do is basically jumping to the collections and studying from them, just like a week or so before the exam. So that is it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.